Hi Nina,
Hi, Koosje.
how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am so excited that you are part of the Sketchbook School faculty now.
Yeah.
And very soon, your class is going to be live in the course called Exploring. So I'd like to chat a little bit about any explorations, creative explorations you do, and yeah, just to hear about how you feel about the class. A lot of people already know you. A lot of Sketchbook School students have continuously been asking for you to be part of faculty, so they'll be really, really happy. Yes. But still, could you just introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do?
Sure. Okay. I'm Nina Johansson. I live in Stockholm, Sweden, and I am an art teacher, photography teacher. I also teach some digital arts, and I draw a lot, like as much as I can. So that's pretty much it.
Well, that's a great introduction, and that's a lot also. So, so you draw a lot, and that's outside of your work, right? That's just in your free time. How would you describe your art?
Um, Mostly from observation, usually. I go out, I bring a sketchbook, a pen, and a small watercolor case, usually, and I just go drawing whatever. Everything is okay to draw. I don't need to go places to draw. I just, it's enough to just, you can draw at home as well. Um, but it's nice to just get out, look around, draw something that you find interesting.
And that's actually also what your class is about. About not really going into uh, finding a place that should be meaningful or whatever. Because well, what I always hashtag my Instagram drawings with is everything is interesting when you draw.
And that's it.
That is really what your class is about as well. Because I guess you could call it urban sketching what you do, right?
Absolutely. Or at least most of the time, yeah. Because it's usually like a place where you are and you're watching things, listening, sitting there for a while and drawing. So yeah, I would say so.
In your demonstration in class, you go to a place that's actually around the corner, right? So does it feel like even though a place like that you see every day, does it still feel like you are exploring it, or what happens if you do something like this?
Yeah, it does actually, because as soon as you start drawing, you start really seeing things differently. If you just pass by there every day, I mean, yeah, I know the buildings are mostly yellowish and the park on the side, and yeah, I know the place. But when you start drawing, you start really paying attention to things, and I always discover new things when I do that, even in a place like that I pass by very often. So it's always interesting. It's like looking at it in a different way when you draw.
The funny thing about that, yeah, I just realized that you're like, yeah, the buildings are always yellowish, you know? And for me, that's like, oh, wow, that is Sweden, you know, those beautiful yellow buildings. So it's interesting. You really see with different eyes if you draw a place like that, and other people see it with different eyes too. Do you have your sketchbook with you right now or not?
Yeah,
I am quite curious what the latest drawing is that you made. Can you show it?
it's this guy.
That's pretty awesome.
That I was invited into a garage where some guys are keeping these old fire engines alive. So it's a really interesting place and a lot of fun to draw. And yeah, so that's the latest one.
Wow, that's a fantastic place to go to, especially if it's cold. You can just go inside at least, and there's a lot to see, I can imagine.
Yeah. I have a small one too. Do you want to see the latest one in that too?
Yeah. Show me. Oh, that is really tiny.
I think people may have seen this online, but it's Newsom in Stockholm. I draw there a lot because tearing it down and building a new version of it, and I like to go there and yeah, keep an eye on it, document it, I guess. So those two are the latest drawings I did.
That is really interesting because you told me about it when I was over in Stockholm, that this whole area in Stockholm is being renovated and it will change drastically. And it's fantastic to document that.
That's also interesting because it's a bit sad. Some parts of it, it's a little sad that they're tearing it down, but also even the process is interesting to draw. It's the same thing. You go there, oh my gosh, this is ugly right now. But still, if you're drawing, you start noticing things. You start seeing it differently somehow. So it's still interesting to go there and draw sometimes.
And I mean, you are like a very accomplished watercolorist.
Thank you.
If you're a beginner, it's maybe a little bit of a lame question, but do you have like any tips about tools or about more or less water or about do's and don'ts? Do you have any tips for people who are quite new to watercoloring?
Well, lots if I get started, but use a bigger brush than you think. A good brush is a good start, actually, because then you can use more water and that gives more life to the pigments. Because I think what many people do in the beginning, at least, is trying to control everything very much. And I don't know, to dare to let it go a little bit, at least, to use more water, more pigment, let it float around a little bit. Even if you want it like inside the lines, you can still let it play a little bit. And that's the first thing I think to try. Yeah.
I do use a bigger brush now because I often use a water brush for on location. It's just handy. But when I take out a big soft brush, I'm so much happier. I just discovered that. So yeah, I'm glad you say that. Yeah.
I always bring both because if I can, I use the big brush and like a jar of water. And for those places where you don't really feel comfortable doing that, then the water brushes are perfect. But yeah.
Okay, thanks. Good tip. Just getting back to exploring and your class. I mean, you in class you share a lot about your artistic journey. We see a lot of your sketchbook pages. It's really wonderful to follow your path that way. And you take us outside to draw on location. What do you hope that people learn from it, or what do you think they take away from your class?
I hope that they will discover that the value of just going out and sit down and explore a place by actually just being there, watching and drawing. I mean, for me, it's the whole experience of that. It's not just the drawing that I want. I want the time sitting there, and that's also worth something because all that time spent, the things you hear, and the things you see, that's something that will always be connected to the drawing afterwards. You always remember that, right? Because you spent the time there. So I hope that's what people will discover, maybe, that wherever you are, you don't have to go somewhere pretty. So just walk out the door and do it, and then discover something. But it's nice to explore that place that doesn't seem so special, but it still is when you start drawing it.
That's great. I think that really reflects your class as well. So I hope people will really learn that and take that away from your class. I am looking forward to it, and I'm also looking forward to do my homework for your class. We'll have to wait just a little bit before we can get started, but we're getting there. And just to let everyone in on a little secret, there's another class coming up from you, isn't there, Nina?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, that you can also draw inside, and that could be an urban sketch, but there's a whole different world that we can explore, and that is actually drawing from imagination.
It's a class about also exploring, I guess, but what's in here, because that's what I did for a year. I decided to draw from imagination because I was beginning to lose that part of my drawing habit. So I did it for a year every day, and yeah, I did pick up a few good things there that I share in this new class. So
yeah, that's fantastic. It's going to be a fantastic class. It is a little bit of a teaser here because we don't even have a date for this class yet. But just because people have been asking for that too. So I'm really happy that we'll actually cover that whole world as well. But first of all, we'll go explore with your watercolors and we'll go on location. So, do you have any parting advice or tips or anything you want to say?
no, just, load up your watercolor boxes and pick out your best drawing tools and start practicing a little bit, I think.
Yes, we'll warm up for your class. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to this, and we'll see you in class.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. So I'm looking forward to it too.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks.